everybody, welcome to a day in the life of a physio. And I decided to do one of these because I had so many great responses to my last day in the life of a physiotherapist, and things have changed for me a little bit since then. So now I'm living in Sydney and my job has changed quite a lot because I'm working predominantly in an ICU, which is an intensive care unit, and a surgical ward, particularly cardiothoracic. I thought I would take you around at work with me over the next 2 days because I've actually tried to film this vlog multiple times and it's really difficult because obviously for privacy reasons filming in the hospital is not that kosher, so I try not to do it very much, and when I do I try to keep everybody else out of it, and also yeah, it's just been quite difficult. So I'm actually working, today's a Saturday, so I'm working today and tomorrow, and so I thought hopefully over the next 2 days I'll be able to capture enough footage and show you a little bit of what I do in my day. Just in the middle of getting ready and then we're going to head off. Okay, parked my car, got my coffee and I'm ready to go in. Alright, so I'm in at work. It's about 8:30, so I've just spent the last half an hour kind of triaging my list, so my new patients, and talking to the rest of the team. So we have 4 physios in total on today. I am one of the seniors in ICU with another senior physio, and we kind of deal with all of the ICU patients and their heart and lung surgical patients. And then we have a ward physio who kind of does most of the other things in the hospital, and a geriatric physio as well. So the wards and the geries physios kind of work together on the wards to see a lot of the priorities, and then me and the other ICU physio work together a lot. But the idea of the morning meeting is that we can look at our workloads and then distribute them as required. So this morning there was a lot of priority ones on the orthopedic ward, so one of the other ICU physio has just gone there to help for the morning, and so now my job is to head down to ICU and scope out a lot of the new patients. We've got a reasonably busy list today. I think I've got about 7 or 8 new patients, and then a couple of high priorities, and then a couple of patients that have headed up to the wards overnight that I need to chase up as well, and then the rest of the list. So quite a busy list today, but we'll see how we go. It's lunchtime. Whew. So as you can see, I'm no longer on the wards. I'm actually in the physio gym at the hospital getting my workout in for the day, and I'm really red and really sweaty. I've been like really falling off the exercise bandwagon recently. I've been using med school as a bit of an excuse to say that I'm really busy and not exercise, but I think that's been having a toll on my mental health and my general well-being. So today is the 1st of June. I just want to try and move my body every day for June and try and do some more yoga and try and focus a little bit more on my mental health and well-being. So yeah, I didn't get to film too much more today, unfortunately, but it was quite a busy day, and I might touch base a little bit later when I'm off the treadmill and I'm not panting, and talk about a couple of the interesting cases from today. Good morning. It is a Sunday morning and I am sitting here with my breakfast, which is porridge and honey, and I just thought I would check in before I start this day because I never gave you an update of like the sorts of patients that physios see in the ICU. So there's lots and lots of different aspects to physios' roles everywhere in the hospital and in the community, but I think the ICU is an area that really can show all of them. You can use all of your skills. So a large part of the skills used in ICU is early rehab. So we will often be getting patients out of bed for the first time after surgery or after long stays in bed. We also prevent deconditioning because acquired weakness in the ICU is a really big problem, and patients can suffer functionally long term after stays in ICU, and it can impact their survival ability as well if they are quite weak after being in bed for a long time because they've been very unwell. So we try to get them up nice and early, and if it's not possible to get them up, we will try and do exercise with them in other ways to maintain their function. And so that is things as simple as rolling in bed, sitting up, and obviously standing and walking as well. So yeah, that's a large part. And we also do a large part of cardiorespiratory physio, which is helping to maintain the health of the patient's lungs. If they are having difficulty with either sputum, which is phlegm, that's a gross word, or if they've collapsed parts of their lungs. So volume and sputum are the two things that physios can help with in the lungs as well. So depending on the ICU, physios have a lot to do with the ventilation of the patient. So if patients have an endotracheal tube, which is a tube in their throat to help them breathe, or a tracheostomy, which kind of is a cut here with a tube that helps them to breathe, and if they are hooked up to a ventilator, the physios can help with suggestions for different types of settings to aim for different things, and we can also do different kind of techniques to help to restore the volume to the patient's lungs and to help them to clear their phlegm. So yeah, and then we also, obviously, depending on the types of patients, can do neurological assessments and treatments as well. So it's quite a big job in the ICU, and it's really varied, and I quite enjoy it because I get to use all parts of my skill set, which I think is, yeah, it's a good place to be. So it's Sunday morning, I'm gonna head off to work now. We'll see what the day holds. Okay, it is lunchtime. And had a really good morning, a really productive morning. So the types of patients we've seen this morning have been a few day one heart surgeries, so coronary artery bypass grafts or CABGs. So we've been mobilising those patients in the ICU. We've had some day one neurosurgical patients, so some removals of some brain tumours and some patients that have had bleeding on their brain. We've had some patients who have had really severe pneumonia who have been intubated that we've needed to see. So it's been like quite a good day, and we've been really productive. So we're hoping that the afternoon will be like nice and cruisy, and hopefully there's no surprises. Home time. Work is over. I'm just gonna drive home. But it was a pretty good shift. Feeling pretty exhausted after 2 days in a row. I know I used to do full-time work, and this is nothing compared to that, but I feel like 2 days on the weekend when you've been at uni all week is pretty tough. I'm home, I am changed, and I am ready to do some yoga to finish off my day. So that is my weekend as an ICU physiotherapist. I hope that it was interesting. A typical day for me on a weekend would be that I would come in at 8 AM, I would meet up with my colleagues, there's 4 of us on the weekend, we would go through everybody's lists and see how many patients we have, and we divide our patients into high priority, so priority 1s and priority 2s, and what we would do is if one person had a lot of priority 1s, then the rest of us would bunch in at the start of the day and help that person, so that they weren't kind of left behind doing extra work, and then we would go off about our day seeing the rest of our own priority 1s and priority 2s, and then we would come back together at lunchtime and just recheck in, because the thing with the weekend list is that throughout the day you get lots of referrals from the nursing staff and the doctors and other members of the team asking for specific things, and so we need to use our reasoning to determine if the patient needs physio on the weekend, because it's an understaffed service, so we need to work out if they need physio on the weekend, and if they do, we need to allocate resources appropriately to that. So it's a lot of kind of teamwork, checking in with each other, as well as checking, talking and working well with the people on the rest of the team on the ward, so the nursing staff and the doctors and patients themselves, of course. So yeah, so that is a typical day in the life of a weekend physio that works in the ICU. I hope you enjoyed it and it gave you some insight and maybe educated you a little bit into some things that physios do that we don't often think about. So thanks for stopping by. If you did enjoy my video, please consider subscribing and follow me on Instagram if you want to see my ups and downs of my transformation from a physiotherapist to a med student. And I will see you next time. Bye.